G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's bloody good episode, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, go take your laundry in if you haven't already. Enjoy today's bloody good episode with that word of advice. Let's go. Posted by user Classic Advance 5115, titled, "Would I be the asshole to tell my little brother that he's adopted without our parents' consent?" I'm 26 years old. I don't live with my parents, but had a great relationship with them, as well as with my little brother Moses. Moses doesn't have a great relationship with our parents. He's never really had a great relationship with them before. I don't fully understand why, but from what I can gather from my research, adopted children, even those who are too young to remember, can still have mental blocks and trauma, which prevents them from forming full relationships with their adoptive parents. Moses is 13 years old, and we're so close. He spends most of his weekends at my house. His school breaks up for summer in a week, and he's already told me that he wants to spend the first fortnight with me at my house, something our parents don't care about. When he's home, it's like constant fighting between them. I'm sure some of it is his teenage hormones, and possibly some of it is what I spoke about before. I was almost 15 when Moses came to live with us, and I remember our parents explaining to me why it was important to keep the adoption a secret. Didn't want him to feel different, didn't want him bullied, etc. At the time, it seemed sensible, so I agreed to keep it a secret. I feel really regretful that I did. Moses talks to me about feeling different from the rest of the family, and I would reply with things like, "No, it's normal to feel that way when you're young, etc." Which, looking back, I can recognize as almost gaslighting him, something I feel truly guilty about. I never really questioned it, not until 2 years ago. Then I started to unpack it in my mind, but if I'm completely honest, I think I felt guilty and so I repressed it. But it just kept coming back up. I did some research into adoption and the trauma that it can give children, and like I said, even those who can't even remember being adopted. I have no expertise in psychology and don't claim to be an expert, but this is just what I've gathered from my own research. On one hand, telling him could make his relationship with our parents even worse than it is, but on the other, I feel like it can't be hidden from him forever. Not successfully. I want to fool myself into thinking that it could make their relationship better, but I don't see how it could. It would give him the satisfaction of knowing that he isn't crazy for feeling different. The more I thought about it, the more I start to resent my parents for forcing me into this role of lying to Moses. I started to avoid contact with them, to the point where they noticed. I spoke to them about how I felt, and they told me that I can't tell Moses, and it'll make everything worse for him. They've said that if I tell him, they will go no contact with me, and make it incredibly difficult for me to have contact with Moses. Is telling him the right thing to do, or am I just being selfish? I feel like I'm lying all the time now. In the comments, Mercury Alive says, "I would say you would not be the asshole, and your parents are huge assholes for forcing you into this position where you must lie to your brother. Be aware though, telling him could have huge consequences on your relationship with him, his with your parents and yours with your parents. That's not me saying don't do it, but if you choose, be prepared. You're in an incredibly tough position, and I don't envy you in the slightest, OP." So I was going to make a post from the perspective of an adopted person with all kinds of reasons why your parents are wrong, but you've already done the research, and this person already said everything that I really wanted to get across. Edit, most of, as it turns out. Thanks for being interested enough to research and for wanting to do right by your brother. If he reacts badly, remind yourself that this is a child finding out that he has been lied to his whole life. Emphasize that the whole reason you are telling him is because he really is your brother, and try to be there for him anyway. There is just as much of a chance that he'll see that already and appreciate you more for being the one person to tell him the truth. Basing a relationship on lies is never the right thing to do, and the person being lied to always has the right to the truth. Ripping the band-aid off and telling them is almost always the kinder option. Edits, and emphasize that his parents making a poor choice doesn't make them not his parents. Short version, more for people who haven't researched on their own, is that adopted kids are a lot more likely to deal with those feelings. This includes kids who don't know they're adopted. Genetic mirroring is real, and we recognize the lack of it, even if only on a subconscious level. Knowing the truth doesn't cause it, but it does allow us to deal with it in a healthy way. That was longer than I thought, sorry. Edit again, but tell your parents what you're about to do and why. They deserve to not be blindsided by this, whatever else they've done, and he deserves to hear it from them if they're willing. Okay, I'm done. DFJ DeJulio says, before you make a move, ask them when, not if, they'll tell him. Because here's the thing from my perspective, as someone who has adopted myself, this shit is important to know medically. If the doctor says, any history of colon cancer in your family, you need to be able to give an accurate answer. Saying, I don't know, I'm adopted, will get you better medical care than an inaccurate answer would. On top of that, genetic testing continues to get more and more common, so it's very likely the truth will come out on its own anyway. They can either do it their way or have it done for them. I wouldn't make a move until explaining all of that to the parents. Please make it clear to them that they are literally putting his life at risk, and the odds are pretty decent that he'll find out anyway due to cheap and easy access to DNA kits. If that doesn't at least shake them up, I don't think I'd outright tell him, but I'd be tempted to buy everyone 23andMe kits for some holiday at this point. OP replies, I will try that with them, but I doubt it will make any difference to their plans on telling him. Someone else suggested an ultimatum, and honestly, I think that may be the best way of going about it. Can you get them to agree to therapy for him? If so, although the therapist cannot give you confidential information, you can let them know and see if they have advice. The biggest issue is if you tell them now, your parents may cut you off from him, and then he has to process it all without any help or support. OP says, my parents don't believe in therapy or mental health. Huh. No wonder why he and your parents don't get along. If it were me, I would tell your brother in this instance, and I don't think that you'd be wrong for doing so. I think there's definitely something very fishy going on here. The circumstances of his adoption don't really make sense, and the fact that your parents are really adamant on not saying anything about it is a bit of a red flag, is it not? Also, the fact that he always wants to be at your house and whenever he goes back home, it's just constant fighting between them. It's not very healthy, is it? That's not really a great environment for the kid to be in, and on top of not telling him that he's adopted, when that comes out, that's going to be a real bombshell in his life in an already unstable environment. Like their reasons for not saying it being, you don't want him to feel different, you don't want him to be bullied. Yeah, that makes sense, especially when you were 15 years old. But we learn and grow through experience that it's not okay to keep these things from the kids, and the earlier you tell them, the better, so you don't completely destabilize their life. So with that all wrapped up, I'd say you would not be the arsehole to tell your little brother that he's adopted. I think it's about damn time, and it doesn't seem like you have a great relationship with your parents anyway, but at the same time this could blow up and you won't get contact with him again, and things will get really shit for him for the next 5 years until he can move out and be with you. And at that point, would he even want to live with you because you caused so much shit to happen in his life? This is a real hard moral question for me. And now, onto the updates, titled, I told my brother that he's adopted, but I don't know if I did the right thing. For full context, you can read the other post on my profile, but essentially my parents adopted my brother Moses when he was 1. They've kept it secret from him. I was about 15 at the time, so I obviously knew, but I was young and dumb, and I just agreed to keep it secret also. They had no plans on telling him, ever. This wasn't a, they're waiting for the right moment type thing. They just didn't want him to know. I feel deep regret that I waited for this long to even tell him. Before telling him, I got in contact with my friend who was a social worker. I asked him if my brother decided to come live with me against my parents' wishes, what would social services do? He told me that because Moses was in an awkward age of 13, it would be a toss-up on whether they would listen to my brother and allow him to stay, or whether they would force him to move back with our parents. I was advised that they have parental responsibility, so if they really pushed, he would be moved back. But if the social worker felt that he was in any way unsafe, for example, Moses saying he would run away again if brought back home, they would be likely to leave him living with me temporarily. I decided to give my parents a final chance. Tell him the truth, or I will. They told me that in no uncertain terms, they will never tell him that he is adopted, and if I do, they will go no contact with me. I said I would rather that they tell him. I don't want to be the one to tell him, but I believe he has a right to know. They outright refused. Moses normally walks home from school, so instead yesterday I went to pick him up. I told him that we needed to talk. I said that Mum and Dad weren't going to like that I tell him this, but I believed he had a right to know. I explained the whole thing to him, how he was adopted when he was around 1.5, how I didn't know much about his background or where he was before he lived with us. I told him that I was 15 at the time, and how Mum and Dad told me that it would be the best for you not to know. How I stupidly believed them. I said that if he was angry at me, that I understood. I said I would take him home if he wanted. He was clearly in shock, but he asked to come to my house. He didn't speak at all on the drive home. When we got to my place, he just went to his room and just was quiet. I was worried. I wasn't sure if I had done the right thing. He came out maybe about an hour later and just asked me so many questions. I tried my best to answer them, but I told him that I didn't know a lot. I said I would support him in asking Mum and Dad. He said he didn't want to talk to them. He sent a text to them saying he was staying at my house for the weekend, something he does normally, so that wasn't unusual. We put on a film and things were a little bit tense, but honestly, I expected more from him. He was so quiet. He went to bed early, and I was so worried. I checked on him about every 90 minutes. This morning, he was a bit more back to his normal self. He said that he was thankful that I told him, and I asked him what he wanted to do. I would support him whatever he chose. If he wanted to confront Mum and Dad, I would support him. If he wanted to stay here, he could, as long as he wanted. He said he just wanted to process everything. I asked if he had spoken to Mum or Dad, and he said beyond saying he was here, no. We played Fortnite together all day today, and he hasn't brought it up again, but he's acting like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders. I thought this would be sad news to him, but it seems like he's relieved. He's in bed asleep now. I'm worried about how our parents are going to react, but equally I'm glad that Moses knows the truth. I'm glad that things seem to be working out okay. I hope they continue. In the comments, Saucy Marinara 05 says, when you say a weight was lifted off his shoulders, maybe he knew. I think in all honesty, you did the right thing by telling him because now he knows he can fully trust you, and y'all will continue to have a great relationship. If he decides to talk with your parents, just be there for him. If he doesn't, then still be there for him. He needs you right now in this time. I'm wondering if he had a feeling that something was different around your parents, or he had a feeling that he didn't fit there. I found out who my father was and what happened, and it explains so much about how my mother treated me, why I looked different than the rest. It may be that too. I really wonder if OP was also adopted. This has overtones and undertones of problems with the parents. I was adopted about 40 years ago, and even then it was pretty obvious that it was done. I got real lucky. My parents actually made me a storybook, age appropriate, with photos, and it was just a thing about me. Like my eye color or my hair color. My parents loved each other very much, but couldn't have a baby, so they chose me. I actually still have the book, and am planning to get it copied, reprinted, and bound like a real book for them for their big upcoming anniversary. Yeah, the no photos of the OP when they were younger was not good. That part had me raising my eyebrows. I wonder if OP has ever seen their birth certificates. I wonder why the parents didn't want him to know. I'm adopted, and I knew early on that I was different. My parents told me when I was 12. It was hard at first, but once I knew the reason that I was put up for adoption, I felt better about it. So, I've probably listened to way too many crime podcasts for my mind to go here, but I listened to, I think, a Dateline episode about a couple who kidnapped multiple children and pretended they were adopted and told the older ones not to talk about it. Much more likely that the parents are just morons, but you never know. Maybe I'm reading too much Reddit, but between their insistence for not telling him, them constantly moving houses and not really having close friends, big age difference between the two kids, and not believing in therapy, I feel something truly dark is at play here. Maybe the adoption was illegal and basically kidnapping, or they're in some form of cult and got the kid through its network. They don't believe in mental health or therapy, and clearly don't care about kids knowing their health history, so yeah, even if it's not a cult situation, they are kind of effed up. So yeah, that's all we have for now. This one is fresh off the presses. I do wish that we get another update in the future for this one, but hey, Who knows, this might be a bit too dark when the truth comes to light, and I don't blame OP if they don't further give us evidence here. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that OP hadn't had any pictures of their childhood. That's a bit crazy. Like, how deep does this rabbit hole go? I still don't think you're the asshole here for telling your adopted brother that, OP. I think they very much deserve to know, and I don't know how this is going to go from here. I feel like there is a lot that is going to happen, and when the parents find out, shit is going to go down, Charlie Brown, but I, for one, kind of want to know what happens, honestly. I'm putting bets on they stick to their word and OP gets no contact from them and gets cut off from the brother for the next 5 years. They probably skip town with the brother as well, and OP doesn't hear from them, and, things don't go the way that we want them to go. I don't want that to happen. It just seems as though that's where it's going. Anyway, enough waffling from me. I want to know what you guys have to think about this one down in the comments. Let me know. Our next post is by user Fangorn Dweller, titled, "Would I be the asshole here if I told my friend his online bully is his girlfriend? I, 30 female, know a couple. Let's call them Blair, 28 female, and Ben, 30 male. I've known both of them separately before they met and started dating. They were in love pretty fast and became a couple. We always thought that they were perfect for each other. Both attractive, fun, energetic people who were crazy about each other and also great friends to the rest of us. Important note, we are all from different countries living as expats in this country." So after a while, Ben had some family problems back home which required him to fly back to be with his family. But this would be temporary. Blair has always been great, supportive, and understanding towards Ben. He would always go around saying how happy he was and how proud he was of his relationship. I met Blair recently for a little girls' outing. It's been about 5 to 6 months since Ben left. After a few drinks, she told me that she had made a fake Instagram account to test her boyfriend. I thought it was weird, but I didn't say much. She said he didn't reply and blocked the fake account, which should have been the end of her test in my opinion, but she continued to tell me that she used another fake account to add him and call him names like ugly, good for nothing, etc. Pretty bad stuff. I was flabbergasted and couldn't believe what the hell was happening. I asked her why on earth she would do such a thing. Her explanation was that she is the best girlfriend he can have, and she just wanted to remind him how great she is so that he can appreciate her more. She wanted to show him how horrible the dating pool is, and he should hold on to her tight. I told her this was insane, and that she needs to stop, but she continued to tell me no, and this is nothing harmful. Ben had told me about a fake account messaging him, but I didn't know that it was her. Ben assumed that it was his ex who was proven to be a stalking weirdo, but now I know it's not her, it's actually his loving girlfriend. I told Blair that she needs to stop, and I would love to help her work on the issues that make her act like this. I tried to explain how this will eventually ruin her relationship and Ben's confidence as well, but she's not listening. So I told her if she didn't stop, I would go ahead and tell Ben everything. I have screenshots of us discussing this matter over texts, how she's not willing to stop. So, would I be the asshole if I told Ben everything? My boyfriend says Ben needs to know, and I totally agree because nobody deserves to be treated this way. But some of my friends back home told me not to tell him, but instead convince her to come clean. Which I've been trying to, but to no avail. So, would I be the asshole here? In the comments, Big Pooper 2 says, "If she's doing weird shit like that, I think this is only a sign of what's to come. You've got to tell Ben so he knows that BS could happen in the future." You're definitely not the asshole. Ben deserves to know the truth about Blair's behavior. Ben deserves to know, and Blair sounds unhinged. If telling Ben means losing Blair as a friend, honestly, it sounds like trash taking itself out, not the asshole. And OP replies, "Very true. This is all truly shocking to us. We always thought that she was a great person, but now I don't even know what's what." This just occurred to me, but is it at all possible that she's having some sort of mental health episode? Like, if this is really that out of character for her, obviously no matter what, Ben needs to know, and he would be absolutely right to break up with her over this, and I wouldn't blame you for not wanting to be friends anymore with someone who can do this either. I'm just curious if it's possible she's not some twisted, evil biatch, and in fact is having some sort of crisis. I don't know, you wouldn't be wrong if you didn't care to find out, but it just doesn't make sense that somebody who is known to be a pretty good person could turn around and do something this effed up. Feels like a huge jump. Either way though, I'm sorry that you're dealing with this, and I'm glad to see your edit that you were telling Ben. Best of luck with everything to come. OP says, that is a very valid point, and thank you for sharing. Unfortunately, I'm not a mental health professional, but I'll do my best to help her out if she's willing to receive it. You've challenged her on it. What exactly did she say to that? OP replies, when I said if she didn't stop I would tell Ben, she just stared at me and asked, why? At this point, I'm convinced that she is so far off the grid that she can't even see what's wrong with what she's doing. I told her it was absolutely insane and argued for about an hour, and she kept saying, but there's nothing wrong with it, it's just a fake account, while laughing. After that night, which was about a week ago, I've been pestering her with my texts and telling her if she doesn't stop and come clean, then I'll tell Ben. She turned on me and messaged my boyfriend something like, OP wants to talk to Ben. Can you keep her out of my relationship? But my boyfriend already knows everything. This whole thing made me think that once challenged, she will turn on anyone. Shake my head. Back up to the post, there is an edit. This has been a shocking event for me. We all thought that she was a great person all this time. It never even crossed our minds that she would even think such things, let alone act on them. It hasn't been a very long time since I found out about this. It's been about a week or less. I waited this long to give her a chance to come clean on her own and figure out a way to break it to Ben gently. If the roles were reversed, I'd still give a man the same chance. Which isn't really my point to posting this, but I appreciate the comments and wanted to clarify my position in this. Thanks to your encouragement, I feel much more confident in telling him everything and possibly facing her later. My boyfriend and I messaged Ben and arranged a video call, so we will tell him everything soon with the evidence. I will post an update. Thank you all so much. And now, onto the update. First off, thank you for encouraging me to be a better friend. I don't like confrontation, and I shy away from anything that's dramatic like this. I also want to apologize for the overdue update, but life was crazy for me. So here's the update. After about 5 to 6 hours of my post, we had a phone call with Ben. My boyfriend was there with me to break the news to him. First, I asked Ben whether the fake accounts were still messaging him or not. He said no, not for a week or so. Then I told him that the messages were sent by Blair, and she told me this herself. He didn't understand at all. I told him everything. The girls' night out that Blair and I had, how she told me that she was doing this and why, how I asked her to stop, but she didn't see the point, etc., etc. As I was explaining, I saw my friend Ben losing the spark in his eyes, and I saw the devastation settle in. The horror was real for him. Then when I was done telling him everything, there was a moment of silence. My boyfriend told him if he needed or wanted for us to help him in any way, we would be more than happy. He thanked us for telling him everything and wanted us to keep this a secret from Blair. He didn't want her to know that he now knew everything. He said he needed some time to figure stuff out since it's all a big shock now. I sent him whatever evidence I had and we ended the call. We didn't hear from Ben again for a couple of days. One night, he called my boyfriend to ask for his help with retrieving a box from him and Blair's apartment. He said Blair would be home to let us in, and we can take the box after checking the contents of it. He gave us a list of all the things that should be in the box. When we arrived, Blair was there with the box, but she seemed off. I asked her how she was doing, and she said not very well because of the antidepressants were weighing on her. She self-diagnosed and started taking unprescribed, illegally obtained antidepressants. I said antidepressants could be dangerous to take on your own due to the side effects, and she really should ask a doctor before taking them. She brushed me off, gave us the box, and shut the door on us. We called Ben and told him the box was with us and asked if he wanted us to send it to him. He said to just keep it safe until he was back. He came back to the country 3 days ago. He went to see Blair and they had a huge falling out. He confronted her with everything I gave him, and she said that it was his fault for being absent. Ben said he would be willing to try to understand and help her if she didn't blame him. After all, it's not his fault that his father is dying and he has to be there for his family. He came to fix things, but her reaction blew up everything. He took the remaining belongings and left the house. He's now staying in our spare bedroom. The man is devastated. In the past 2 days, Blair has been blowing up social media with lies, posting things about how Ben cheated on her while he was supposed to be helping his family, saying he's always been 1 foot out the door and that she's better off without him. She should have never lowered her standards for him, etc., etc. Ben is not a social media person, so he just deactivated his accounts and is now trying to heal. She's called me to curse at me multiple times. We now all blocked her number and her socials. Ben will be staying here with us until he flies back home in the upcoming weeks. I tried to help both of my friends, and now I'm helping my only friend in this situation. I texted Blair's cousin to let her know that she's taking unprescribed antidepressants, acting erratic, and should see a doctor, and that was it. I don't like this at all. I don't want to be in the middle of all of this. But Ben needed to know the truth. For Ben, he still feels betrayed and shocked, but he also feels that it was for the best that this would come to an end, since he cannot trust her anymore. I guess this is the end of my update. The relationship ended. The friendship ended. We don't know what she plans to do next. Thank you again for encouraging me to help my friend. Like I said before, I'm not the one for confrontation. I feel sad the way that things turned out, but I guess it is what it is. All in all, watch out for fake accounts. In the comments, Magdavis says, "Do you know how long she's been on the dodgy meds? Could that be changing her behavior?" And OP replies, "To my knowledge, she was never on them. It started recently. I think when Ben went back home, she got really depressed and might have started self-medication, but we only found out a couple of days ago. It is very worrying, which is why I informed her family. The thing is, she's buying them illegally, so there's no way to be sure it's the medicine that she thinks that she's buying. The hell was she supposed to be testing? How easily she could drive him to a breakdown from the bullying? Who knows? People like Blair really are unpredictable and will likely do anything to drive someone to a breakdown in the worst ways. How unhinged do you have to be to normalize, "I'm going to anonymously stalk, bully, and screw with your head so you know my worth"? How the hell does someone rationalize that thought process? Truly baffling. You should be another friend and post your own social post, tagging Blair's post. Don't just spill everything, but just say that Blair's account is full of lies because Ben never cheated, and whoever of your friends wants the truth can contact you directly, and you'll show them all of the proof. OP replies, "I asked Ben if he wanted us to post online about her insane lies, and he said not just yet. Some of his friends are collecting some more evidence from her posts and from the abusive texts she sent. I think there'll be a public post online with the evidence once they have enough. Also, I saw some screenshots of her posts via mutual friends, and seems like the comment section isn't going as well as Blair expected. People are questioning her and asking her for evidence, which she does not have. I got a couple of people commenting on her posts saying that she's lying and that she was bullying Ben. She is bitter and called me a bunch of names for ruining her relationship. Most of our mutual friends know the story now because they called us and Ben. Also, last night Ben, my boyfriend, and I went out for some drinks and saw many of our friends. So on most ends, her posts are being perceived as a bitter reaction to her losing in her own little game." OP, when told that she's a good friend and tried to help Blair as well, says, "Thank you so much. I really tried to help Blair so many times, but she refused my offers. I can honestly say that I did my best as a friend, and now we're no longer friends. I do not regret anything. I am just sad that a person that I valued as a friend turned out this way. Yeah, I felt obligated to tell her family that she's not doing well. I'm not responsible for her, but she obviously needs serious help, and her family should take over from here. Her cousin and I talked about her alarming situation. She didn't know, and apparently her family had no idea either, so I guess that's up to them now." Yeah, not a good situation to have to deal with at all, and it's for the best that evidence does get out there sooner than later, because who knows what could happen as a result of her stupid accusations and how far she could escalate it, because her behavior was so unhinged already. But regardless, it's great that he did get off social media for a bit and stayed away from all of that mess. I can only imagine the state that his mental health was in after all of that, but having such a supportive community like you guys around him is such a blessing, and good on you, OP, and your partner for sticking around with him and making sure that he was alright. He deserves the world. He deserves so much better. And Blair deserves nothing. She deserves to learn her lesson from this. Our next post is by user DapperLemon7495, titled, "My fiancé got a face tattoo without talking to anyone." I am honestly stunned right now. My fiancé Kim, I have just learned, is completely insane. She took some days off work this week sick and avoided seeing most people in person. She claimed she was feeling sick and just wanted to stay home alone. She has never given me any indication that she would lie about this in the 6 years we've been together. No one in her family had any worries because she was a stable individual who never would do anything crazy. She got a face tattoo. She took 3 sick days from work to recover from the fact that she got a face tattoo. She told no one of this plan beforehand. I have never in our time together been talked to about tattoos by Kim. She showed no indication that she was even interested in getting any. I was not even the first to learn. Her sister visited her because she got worried after Kim cancelled meeting with her for lunch on her 3rd day sick and got the grand reveal. She didn't tell anyone beforehand because she didn't want to be talked out of it, and she hid the results because the swelling and redness was so bad that we would react badly and not be able to understand the artistic meaning. Kim is Asian American. She got Japanese symbols going down her forehead and under her eye. I don't know the meaning of them. I don't really know if I care to know the meaning of them. Kim's parents are Japanese immigrants. According to her sister, who was nice enough to inform me of this whole debacle, this is a big no-no in Japanese culture. Tattoos have links to crime and are looked down upon. Her parents are besides themselves, and that's a whole other set of drama that I can't even begin to approach. Kim talked to me last night about it and acted offended and started a fight because I told her that it was absolutely insane of her to do this. She works a public-facing job. She talks face-to-face with clients in the financial industry. The minute her boss finds out, the career she went to school for will be over. She actually didn't consider her job or family or me at all and decided a long time ago that she was going to express herself freely without any concerns. I'm worried about her right now. This is not normal. She blocked my number after our fight and is ghosting me and her sister because we're trying to help. But dear Lord, this is far beyond me. I cannot comprehend what I'm even supposed to do right now. Kim's lost her mind. Is there any chance that I will be happy married to this? A woman who went and got a face tattoo and hid that fact because she knew we would all talk her out of it? Dear Lord, I really need to run, don't I? In the comments, Throw It Away 1510 says, I'm sitting next to my friend who took over her father's tattoo shop, and one of the big 3 rules that she took from her dad, and has the tattoo artists under an employment follow, is no face tattoos as a person's first tattoo. I don't get this either. I have full sleeves and a ton of other tattoos, and my artist was hesitant still about tattooing my fingers. Not for no reason, but damn, to get one on your face right away? How did she spring that? If she's acting this completely out of character, there might actually be something wrong. I have no idea how to approach it, but I'd say that she needs to see a doctor and be evaluated. I'm so sorry. It's a very helpless feeling. Was thinking of a manic episode. Yup. Bipolar 1 runs in my family, and it sounds exactly like one of my cousin's manic episodes. I think she may legitimately need help. Working in a people-facing job in the financial industry while simultaneously making no consideration for the future of her career after working for years towards the goal, those 2 objectives sound completely at odds with one another. It sounds like she's incapable of considering the consequences of her actions at the moment, and that's terrifying. This is really odd. It sounds like a terrible decision to me as I'm not a face tattoo fan, but my bias aside, she's hiding it from you and her family. She hadn't been talking about getting it. It sounds like a very rash decision. I would try to get her help if she's in crisis, but you also need to think hard about marrying someone who was acting out of impulse like this. Could be something she always wanted though, and she just didn't want to listen to the arguments, along the lines of the old saying, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. This is what I'm thinking. She knew she'd be judged. Back up to the post, there's an edit. Wow, this got some attention, huh? I read through the replies, but I can't really respond to all of you, so I'll just update here. The engagement is pretty much off. Kim has told me that she never wants to see me again, and I woke up this morning with her ring and a box of stuff that I gave her on my porch. I don't know what's going on with her. Her sister and family have been trying their best, but nothing on their end is working. I brought up to her sister the idea that this is a mental breakdown and they're looking into getting her help. It's painfully slow, considering Kim is not responding to anything and is refusing to talk to anyone. I really don't know what to say here, I guess. To answer some questions, Kim is 29 and I'm 28. In the 7 years I've known her, she has never acted like this at all. She had a good relationship with her parents, and while they were a bit overbearing at times, they supported her in going to college and getting a career rather than starting a family. From what I've gathered, they probably would have been fine with any tattoos she got, as long as it was not on her face, neck, or hands. Even then, this kind of behavior is as far from Kim as I could have imagined. She just lost her mind out of nowhere? It's not like I can do anything about it either, as she's blocked my number and doesn't want to see me. I'm just at a loss for words. One day I'm engaged, and the next I'm not, and my ex has a face tattoo. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a bit of a mental breakdown with this one, OP. And it's questionable whether you would want to get back with someone like this, knowing that they could repeat this in the future. As tough as it is to have to grapple with that, and yes, you love this person, you've been building a life with them together in the future, is this not a mask slip kind of incident? Is this not foreshadowing of how dangerous and how unpredictable they could be in the future? As much as it is a shitty situation to be in and how much you want things to go back to normal, I myself would be questioning whether I would get back with someone like this. And again, it's such a gut punch to get all the way up to an engagement and be ready for marriage, and then have your whole life be torn apart like this. That's not an easy thing to grapple with, but in a way, it's good that it happened now instead of after marriage and kids and you being tied to assets with them. It's somewhat of a blessing in disguise, I would say, as much as this really sucks. And now, on to the updates. My fiancé got a face tattoo without talking to anyone, ex-fiancé had a mental breakdown, got a face tattoo, and did everything she could to ruin her life. Now she wants me to pick up the pieces, but I want her to take responsibility for what she did to me. About 9 months ago, my ex-fiancé Kim got a face tattoo without telling anyone. This was just the start of her doing everything she could to ruin her own life. She broke up with me and called off our 7-year relationship when I questioned why she did this. She worked in a client-facing job for an incredibly large financial institution and was let go within a month of showing back up for work after getting the tattoo. I kept in contact with Kim's sister, hoping for some news. They tried to get her help as they thought that she was having some kind of psychotic break. However, she eventually called the police on her own family, claiming that they were harassing her. After that, I decided to just walk away. Kim didn't just destroy her own life. When she broke up with me, I felt numb. I knew this wasn't Kim doing this. I wanted to believe deep down that Kim was always like this. Always this impulsive, crazy, who would ruin her own life by getting a face tattoo. I tried to convince myself that I had not lost a wonderful woman who I had spent 7 years of my life with. However, the person who made these choices was not Kim. The woman who told me over the phone that she hated my guts for not supporting her. The woman who wrote she hated me and only ever stayed with me out of pity. This was not the woman that I asked to marry. This was not Kim. That was someone who I came to find out was having a mental breakdown that resulted in months of bad decisions that will affect the rest of her life. The day I walked away and told her sister I couldn't deal with it anymore was the worst day of my life. It hit me like a train. The numbness and denial of what I lost hit me all at once. I almost quit my own job and moved back home to my parents. I can only thank my boss for being so understanding that she let me take 4 weeks off to deal with what happened. She and the rest of my team went far beyond what should ever be expected of coworkers and management that it makes me realize how close I was to leaving a job that I actually enjoy. I never moved on from Kim, but I came to accept what happened. I thought I was okay until 2 weeks ago. I got a call from Kim. She had blocked my number and done everything she could to remove me from her life. My mind just blanked when I saw that it was her calling. I picked up, and it actually was her. We didn't talk. I did not know what to say to her. We decided that she would come over to my place and we talked. The tattoo is still there, but she's covering it up now with makeup. She says when she has the funds, she's going to look into getting it removed if possible. She had lost a lot of weight since I last saw her. She's not been able to find a new job. She'll probably need to move to a new city for that. She wasn't the Kim that I had fallen in love with. She was like a shell of her. Something just wasn't there anymore that used to be. Kim told me what had happened. The year leading up to the tattoo was awful for her. The stress of everything seemed to pile up more and more. I'll respect her and keep much of what she told me secret. However, the thing that is important is that she secretly started doing methamphetamines to keep her performance up at work and to deal with everything. And one day, she just out of nowhere decided that she hated everything about her life. She explained why, at the time, she wanted the tattoo. It doesn't really make much sense, but a lot of what she was thinking at the time didn't either. And from there, she just lost control of everything. I won't talk about what happened after she disappeared, but it's not pretty. There are things that she did that will follow her for the rest of her life. It explained a lot, but it didn't make things any better. We talked for nearly the entire night. She didn't leave my place until almost 4 a.m. Since then, she said that she wants to try and get back together with me. She admitted she knows things cannot be the same, yet she wants to try. I haven't talked to anyone about what I'm about to say yet. I've held off on talking to Kim about it because it feels selfish, but there's something about the way that Kim acts about the way that it affected my life that irks me. When we talked that night, she said that I was lucky she cut me off. I was lucky that I didn't get put through any of this. I was lucky that my crazy ex wasn't at my door screaming or showing up to my work and causing a scene. She acts like my life wasn't affected at all. I told her what happened after she left, how much it hurt, how I almost quit my job and moved across the country, and her response was dismissive. Like, because I didn't go through with that, I don't get to complain. She acted like, because I wasn't the one with a tattoo on her face, I don't get to act like it had long-lasting effects on me. She didn't even apologize for the explicit and hateful note that she left with my things when she returned them, or for the phone call where she called me a manipulative, selfish asshole who only wanted her for her body, or even just the breaking up with me. She knows that she was wrong to do it, but it's almost as if she's acting like because she had a breakdown, I can't hold her accountable for what she did to me because it wasn't long-lasting. I texted her last night, saying how hard it was for me when she left. She ignored it entirely and tried to move on. No acknowledgement at all. I don't know why, but it hurt me. It hurt me so much. I feel like I did back when all those emotions finally hit me after she left. I wish she had just never come back into my life now. I wish I didn't know what happened. I wish I hadn't picked up the call, because it hurts. But a part of me feels like I'm being selfish or complaining too much, that I don't get to feel this way because I'm not the one who had the mental breakdown. In the comments, SmartWay1246 says, "You are not being selfish. You are choosing yourself. She may have been going through a breakdown all those months ago, but she also chose herself over you, her family, and her career. Are you lucky that she cut you off? Maybe, but that's something that you're allowed to think, not something she's allowed to say, especially while being so dismissive and stoic in the face of the pain that she put you through. I think you need to block her, cut contact completely, and move on with your life free of her. You need to protect yourself emotionally and psychologically, and keeping in contact with her is not the way to do that. Be safe." It's like she sees you as some kind of side character to her main story. She never shared her stress and issues with you as if she didn't trust you as a partner. She condescendingly dismisses your feelings as if those concerns are beneath her experience. She doesn't sound capable of being a true partner right now. She's being dismissive that she hurt you. She doesn't care. Most people, when confronted with their behavior, will acknowledge it and try to make up for it and move forward. She wants her life back without doing any work. Do not fall for it. Not only is she being dismissive, her attitude is also disrespectful of the pain that he went through as a result of her actions. She doesn't seem to take accountability. She lacks the ability to care about anyone but herself. That's not something a relationship can build on. Cut your losses, OP, and move on without her. Walk away. Send one last message, or don't. It's up to you, but block her and be done. If her reaction to stress was to take drugs and let her life spiral and become a tornado that smashes through her loved ones with little regard for the destruction left behind, this is not a person you want to be with or have any contact with. So it's all just about her, never mind the hell that you went through. Ugh. It sounds like your gut is telling you not to get back with her, and I agree with your guts. She had so many opportunities to make a better decision every step of the way. She had so many chances to let you in and to get the support that she needed, but she didn't. She let you drown with her, and now she's acting like somehow she spared you from what she went through? Your ex has a really long way to go before she can be in a relationship again with anybody. Yeah, I think, OP, it's best that you cut her off completely and you stay away. Get as much support as you need from your friends, family, therapists, counselors, friends down at the pub, who knows? But she's bad news. She's continued to be bad news, and it's only going to get worse. She came to you looking for, I don't know, sympathy to get things off her chest, but when you're like, hey, I know how you're feeling, and I feel really shit too, it's never okay for her to be like, lol, I don't care what you went through. I have a face tattoo. I'm going to invalidate everything you just said. You ever taken drugs, Sonny Jim? Your life ever been such a mess that you need meth to get the edge off? Walk a mile in my clown shoes first, hombre. My brother in Christ, she's still on drugs. She's still not well. You need to stay away until she gets the help that she needs, or, you just need to stay away until she stops becoming a problem in your life. The drugs have fundamentally changed who she is as a person, and I don't ever see her going back to who she was before. I think there's been a fundamental personality change that is permanent. And it really just sucks that she didn't stay gone when she should have. I completely blame her for doing that to you. She's a terrible person for coming back and just doing an emotional beatdown on you once again, just extending the pain. You actually deserve so much better. And now, onto our final update, titled, My Ex Died of a Drug Overdose. I learned yesterday that my ex, Kim, died of a drug overdose on Sunday. I'm still processing the news, I guess. We broke up 2 years ago after Kim got a face tattoo out of nowhere. I have some other posts on this account about that if you want the full story. Kim reappeared in my life about a year ago after breaking up with me and essentially becoming a ghost. She wanted to get back together with me, and I stupidly considered it and let her get her foot in the door. She claimed that she was clean, but she wasn't. It was obvious that she was still using meth, and my guess is she was still using fentanyl. After I finally declined to get back together with her, she slashed my tires after causing a scene at my office. Oh yeah, dude, lucky I didn't come and cause a scene at your office, you piece of shit, Kim. Luckily, she's been out of my life for 6-ish months now, after some cop put the fear of God in her after she broke the restraining order. I've not heard much about Kim since then, thankfully. Last I heard, she was wanted on a warrant and was hiding low across state lines. Yesterday, though, Kim's sister called me to let me know that she was found dead Sunday morning. She wanted me to hear it from her instead of through the grapevine. I appreciate it. Despite everything, Kim's family have been nothing but kind to me. Kim's parents are quietly cremating her, and there won't be any ceremony. Seems that stealing and abusing her family since she started doing meth has made them just as detached about her as me. Or maybe they've already mourned the loss of their daughter long ago, and now is just the end of whatever remained. Right now, I don't know how to feel. I feel like I should be sad. I knew Kim for 7 years. I was with her for 6. I was engaged to her. I lost my virginity to her. And she was the first person that I truly loved. I used to sit up with her and talk about the family that I wanted to have. I wanted Kim to be the mother to my kids. Sat up with me as I cried when I heard the news of my mother's death. At one point in my life, she was the most important thing in the world to me. And I don't feel anything. When Kim left me, I was devastated. When she came back into my life, she made me feel a combination of emotions I can't even describe. And now, hearing the news that she's dead, I don't feel anything. I don't feel numb. I'm not in shock. I just am lacking any emotion towards this event at all. I feel like I should feel something, right? I still miss Kim, like, not the Kim that died Sunday, not the Kim that stalked me, but the Kim that I met, the Kim I fell in love with, the Kim that died when she started to do meth. I still feel sad when I think about her, but knowing this other Kim is dead just makes me feel nothing. In the comments, Combustion says, "Man, stories like this terrify me. The idea that an extremely important person in my life could suddenly flip a switch into a totally different person with no warning beforehand? I can't imagine losing a friend of 6 years this way, let alone a fiancé. I'm 1 year separated from my ex-husband who started doing meth to cope with the separation, although unbeknownst to me, he was also doing meth occasionally before I left him. He just moved into a homeless shelter in a city 4 hours away from me. We have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. Up until the last few days, I've had so much faith that he can kick it, but this story just solidified my growing fear that the incredible man that I married and the amazing father he was up until a few months ago is truly gone. It's so bizarre and hard to get my head around. Recovery is a long road, and there are others who get hurt along the way, people who never had a drop or a dose or a hit of the drug. I hope OP gets a good therapist, and I hope that he can do something small and symbolic to bury the person that he knew, the wonderful person who he loved. Meth is no joke. Addiction is no joke. Both take so much effort and hard work to make any sort of progress. Yup, that first update sounded really bad from a recovery standpoint. I'm sober from alcohol. Sounds like she realized she effed up, but was nowhere near making amends. That middle recovery ground is awful for loved ones. And yeah, meth is the effing devil. In my state of Ohio, meth is a bigger issue than heroin in a lot of counties still, because there's a lot of folks cooking, and the old stereotypes about one day Johnny was normal, then his whole personality changed, really are true. Some folks' psyches just break with meth use. Yeah, reading the end of that one actually really broke my heart there, that last paragraph. Jesus Christ. It's like he's poured his soul out on the canvas. I don't know how to feel for him. Like, that's just, you're grieving the loss of your partner multiple times over, only to be hit with her death and just feel nothing, just feeling emptiness. Like, I've already mourned her before, and then she's actually gone, and it's like, okay, it's just another day. It's just another day in my life, huh? Shit, man. Why is life like that? I don't know how to feel about that. I'm like broken inside from it. My heart goes out to OP for this one. That it must have been hard to share that online. Genuinely hard to type that out and, share these experiences. Thank you for sharing that story with us, OP. I really much appreciate that. I hope it helps anyone else that's having to deal with struggles of drug use and addiction like this. It's never easy, and I don't think it's ever going to be easy. It's not something that can be easy. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoy these longer episodes. I'm going to be doing just 1 episode a day for a while until I go back to 2 episode a day posting whenever I feel like it, but I like these longer formats for now. And also, if you're watching, please watch my live streams. They'll be every Monday and Wednesday night for you Americans, Tuesday and Thursday mornings for Australians. Again, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.